So here's where I want to start this video. Sometimes I give Brett Veach too much credit. I lived the first 30 some odd years of my life thinking I would never witness the Kansas City Chiefs win a Super Bowl. Now we've got three, so somewhere deep in my soul, I have this inability to find fault with the guy who is one of the guys who is at the helm of this thing as the Chiefs are winning so many Super Bowls. So I give Brett Veach too much credit. Even when he drafts FAU in the first round, and I said, look, to me, I think the Kansas City Chiefs just spent a first-round draft pick on Mike Dana. That's what I said. I still said at the time, despite everything I had seen with FAU, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. So I just want to lay this out there first. I want to put that on the table because we're going to come back to maybe me giving Brett Veach too much credit. Look at the numbers on the screen in front of you, and I want you to try to guess this player. 6'3", it's a big guy. 220 pounds, that's a big guy. 32.5-inch arms, which for his position is 70th percentile. It's a good number. 78 5/8 inch wingspan, 87th percentile for his position. That means he has very broad shoulders. His arms are 70th percentile. Wingspan, 87th percentile. Very broad shoulders. 40-yard dash of 4.38. What? 6'3", 220 pounds, runs a 4.38 40-yard dash. Okay, sometimes those big guys really get going. They build the steam, and they get a 96th percentile 40-yard dash of 4.38. But that 96th percentile 40-yard dash is not from a full head of steam because the 10-yard split is a 1.49 93rd percentile 10-yard split on a 40-yard dash. This isn't making a whole lot of sense. Something is out of control here. That vertical leap. What about the vertical leap? Explosion numbers, 43 inches. I believe 44 inches is the absolute record in the NFL. 43-inch vertical leap, 99th percentile. Broad jump, another explosive number. 138 inches. 138 inches is 100th percentile. Bench press, 20 reps. 78th percentile. Now, 6'3", 220, he's a little undersized for a linebacker, but he's not a linebacker. He's really big for a cornerback, but he's not a cornerback. This is safety Nick Emmanwori from South Carolina. Now, we're going to get back to the maybe I am giving too much credit to Brett Veach. Why did I put that out there? Well, Brett Veach has spent a lot of time in the past few days talking. Maybe not a lot of time, but more time than we normally get from Brett Veach. We have some quotes on him about how good this running back class is. Yeah, the Chiefs might take a running back at some point. We have him talking about the wide receiver class and how they probably need to add some explosion. If this guy can be a return guy, that would be absolutely phenomenal. Maybe the Chiefs spend one of those draft picks on a wide receiver. We've talked about the offensive tackle position quite a bit this offseason, and Brett Veach even added some names in free agency. Jalen Moore, the big signing of free agency for the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Kansas City Chiefs do need an edge player, and Brett Veach has talked about how great this edge class is. Phenomenal edge class. 40 chest, baby. What if that is a smoke screen? Why would the Chiefs draft or want to draft Nick Emmanwori in the first round? The first round? Well, that wouldn't make any sense either. Well, let me tell you this. Nick Emmanwori spent the South Carolina Pro Day working with the Steelers defensive backs coach. the Steelers' defensive backs coach made a point to go all the way out to South Carolina, work out Nicky Manwari. The Steelers draft 21st overall. Maybe this is rich for a guy that PFF has ranked as the 67th overall prospect. I dropped my pen. Maybe this is rich for someone who is ranked 67th overall. Guys, the Steelers don't have a second-round pick. Almost certainly, Nicky Manwari will not be there in the third round. So it's possible that even if this is the target for the Kansas City Chiefs, which, by the way, the Chiefs media put out a tweet highlighting Nicky Manwari recently. Maybe that's fool's gold. I don't know. But they did that, and the Chiefs have been talking about how Brett Veach has been talking about how hard it is to trade back. What if the Steelers want Nicky Manwari at 21 and the Chiefs have to trade up to 19 to get him? Now, why would this make any type of sense? Well, I want to read something to you that comes to us from PFF. PFF, by the way, the publication that has him ranked lowest on their list. Manwari's elite size and speed combination will undoubtedly draw evaluators' attention. Did I mess this up? I might have messed this up. Yes. Will undoubtedly draw evaluators' attention as he possesses numerous tools that are proven assets at the NFL level. However, his stiffness and lack of anticipation leave him playing catch-up often. He tends to grab receivers and is most effective as box slot defender who can match up with tight ends where his tools work to his advantage. He can get washed down in the run game and overrun ball carriers. Let me go back up here to these numbers. Very true. Talks about stiffness. We do not have cone drills here. We do not have the short shuttle. We do not have the 3-cone. Is he hiding something there? Very difficult to be hiding very much when you have a 4.38 40-yard dash, a 1.49 10-yard split, and 99 and 100th percentile explosion numbers. But you can hide that. A lot of guys choose not to run the agility drills. But do you know what I see when I read these things here? Manwari's elite size and speed combination will undoubtedly draw evaluators' attention. These are things that you have or you don't. You're not going to spend an off season working out and get a 4.38 40-yard dash. However, his stiffness and lack of anticipation leave him playing catch-up often. Stiffness could be a concern. You know what lack of anticipation means? That means I get to coach him up. That's what that means. He tends to grab receivers. Okay, make them call it. Steve Spagnuolo seems to like defensive backs playing that brand of football and is most effective as a box/slot defender who can match up with tight ends. What position absolutely murdered the Kansas City Chiefs last season time and time again, even when it was your brother's nephew's cousin playing in the game? Tight end. Tight end slaughtered the Kansas City Chiefs last year, where his tools work to his advantage. He is big enough to do it. He can get washed down in the run game and overrun ball carriers. That's coaching. That's coaching. So, a couple more thoughts on this. One of the things that we saw come up time and time again last season was the fan base wishing for Willie Gay back, right? Why couldn't we just re-sign Willie? Why did you want Willie Gay on the field? Because you wanted a big, fast, athletic linebacker. Guys, Nick Eamon, I don't know exactly how big Willie Gay is. Let me see if I can figure this out real quick. These two are not very different weight-wise. So, Willie Gay, come on. I apologize for this. I should have had this pulled up. Willie Gay says here, Wikipedia lists him as 6'1", 243. Nicky Manwari's taller than Willie Gay, and he is just 20 pounds lighter. In fact, there are places that list Nicky Manwari at 230 or 227. Willie Gay had a 4.45 40-yard dash, not a 4.30. 39.5-inch vert, not a 43-inch vert. So and basically the same bench press reps. Willie Gay did one more bench press rep, playing linebacker, not safety. So, in addition to the fact that he can play that role that was Willie Gay, that athletic linebacker in the flats, that athletic linebacker who's able to cover tight ends, etc., that can be Nick Eamon. In addition to that, the Kansas City Chiefs did lose Justin Reid this offseason. Spags loves playing 3 safety sets. They haven't really had 3 safeties to be able to do it these past few years. They've had 2. They've had 2, but their third linebacker was better, or their third cornerback was better than their third safety. So you go with those different numbers there. Nicky Manwari is a beast. 6'3", 220, running a 4.37 with a 1.49 10-yard split. He can do all of those things. And here's maybe the biggest selling point to me. I ended last season really thinking that the Kansas City Chiefs have gotten a star in Jaden Hicks. I thought Jaden Hicks came on at the end of the year and absolutely became one of these players that you can see, you can project, you can feel being lights out in the future. Someone who is going to be a star-level player for that defense. Okay, great, awesome. You add a guy that has superstar potential in Nick Manwari, imagine he hits it too. Now, all of a sudden, you have Trent McDuffie at one corner, a superstar, Jaden Hicks at one safety, a superstar, Nick Eamon at the other safety, a superstar. Now, it doesn't really matter who you have at that cornerback 2 spot. Their game is going to be elevated because there is nowhere around them that feels safe, right? So you will see a lot more checkdowns. You will see a lot more running the ball. Now, as for the split on Nicky Manwari is pretty wide. Like I said, PFF has him ranked the 67th overall prospect, down to PFN, who I didn't look into this. I was just reading this on another site, so perhaps that site is faulty, and I will be wrong when I say this. Apparently, PFN has him ranked 7th overall. 7th best player in this draft. So that is a wide chasm for a guy at the top end of the draft. What if this has all been a smokescreen by Brett Veach in order to say, hey, we want a running back, we want an edge player, we want a wide receiver. But all those things might be true. They're just true at some point in the draft. If you think about it, if you really think about it, the Chiefs do need a defensive tackle. That's true. But the Chiefs didn't lose as much talent anywhere on the field that I can think of the way they did at safety when Justin Reid left town. Lost a lot of players. Tershawn Wharton was emerging. I don't think you can pay Tershawn Wharton what Tershawn Wharton got paid, but he was emerging. Wasn't the solid force that is Justin Reid. The Chiefs have lost several players over the last few years. I don't know if they lost anyone who fit into their either side of the ball, really, as regularly as did Justin Reid on defense. Sure, Joe Thuney, but that was a trade, not someone who walked away. That's a trade that the Kansas City Chiefs have spent 2 years now drafting to hopefully be able to replace. No position, maybe, makes this defense come together quite the way that safeties do with the way that Steve Spagnuolo deploys them. So if you have that third safety as Chamari Connor, for example, he's the guy who can do some of the stuff that the other two players can't do, whoever it is. If you have two guys with the superstar potential that Jaden Hicks and Eamon have on the field, paired with Trent McDuffie, all of a sudden that entire defensive backfield becomes elite. That is what I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And I hope to have you back for the next one.